So coming back to a dating situation and how a woman might ask a man for something that she wants. Let's just say a man says, so what do you want to do? Which is a question, that sometimes makes us cringe because we're like, we don't want to be the ones that have to come up with all the ideas. But let's just say there are some things that would be fun to do. What's the best way for us to ask for a man in a way that he can respond where he still gets to provide something of value for us? So that's
well, you gave a kind of a double question there. You said a guy says, what do you want to do? That's the typical guy thing. Okay, what do you want to do? You should always have three things that you want to do. That's your job. Your job is to have three things. He doesn't know what you want to do. So what do you want to do? Now, certainly it would be better if he thought of three things and said, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. What do you want to do? That would be nice, but he's not going to do that. He's not trained to do that. He doesn't know the value of that. He doesn't know that that's winning the lottery if you do that. So what you have to train him, okay, is he says, what do you want? Say, hey, let's get together next week. What do you want to do? And you say, well, there's lots of things that make me happy. We could do this, we could do that, and we could do that. And don't ask him what he wants to do. Don't need to. The date, a romantic date, is he provides for you what you want. And he will feel most successful and bond with you more if he provides what you want. Now, if he says, well, let's go watch this football game and you're not into it, then you'd basically say, I'm not really into football, but you can go with your friends. These are some things that I like. And you sort out the jerks from the good guys. And there's a lot of good guys that go, oh, wow, a woman who knows what she wants. Oh, I'll take you to this place. I'll do that for you. Your job is to do three things. And then you basically say, you pick. Then he gets to pick. And if he gets to pick, he gets credit for taking you. You don't want to tell him what to do. That's the whole thing. That's why in the beginning you said you cringe when he says, what do you want to do? You don't want to say what you want to do. And why do you not want to say what you want, even if you do? Why? I'll let you first answer the question, and then I'll answer it too.
Because we want to feel like he's providing something for us. We don't want to be in charge. We want to provide that experience for us.
Yeah. And now I'll go to a deeper level, as you don't want to take responsibility for the potential of him rejecting you and say, I don't want to do that. And you don't want to feel the pressure that if we do what you want to do, and he says, okay, I'll do that. You don't want to feel the pressure that if he doesn't like it, you're going to feel bad the whole time. Nobody wants to feel that pressure. And men don't want to feel that pressure either. That's why they're saying to you, what do you want to do? He's chickening out too. Nobody wants to feel the pressure of, if it doesn't turn out, whose fault is it? So that's why this is a win-win situation. You've got three things that he already knows. Oh, she likes it. And of course, the other aspect of why you want him to provide for you is that if he provides for you, if it comes from him, then you don't feel pressure and you feel he's providing for you, and he's not, and you're not controlling him. Because see, ultimately, even though women do so much all the time to control men, although they may not think they do, I could explain that later if you have that question. But they do so much to control men, they don't want to feel that they're controlling, because being controlling is not loving. But women, the biggest complaint men have about women is complaining, criticizing, and controlling. And most women know that they complain too much. Most women know that they can be too critical. But most women are not aware that they're controlling. And that's the biggest issue for men, is women controlling. So what would that be? To understand, imagine that you really want a man to do something for you. Let me see if I can do this right. I do it from my man's point of view. I'm trying to turn it around from a woman's point of view. And let's say you really, really want to please your husband, okay? You want to please this man. You want to be so good to this man. But if ever you're disappointed about something, he gets very upset. So you're in this relationship and you always want to please him and you don't want to upset him, but you feel disappointed about something, but you can't be disappointed about something. You're feeling controlled, right?
Right.
You want to feel controlled? Isn't that controlling? Because he's demanding you to be a certain way. Then see, it's better for me to give this example from the man's point of view. The number one thing that makes men happier is your happiness. So when you say, this doesn't make me happy, then everything inside of him says, okay, then I have to adjust myself in order to make you happy. And if that doesn't make you happy, then I have to adjust myself to make you happy. So that's what men's basic need is in a relationship, is to feel needed by you, to provide for your needs. Your basic need is not to feel needed by a man, although you think it is. Okay, because you think if he needs me, he won't leave me. No, if you need him, he won't leave you. Just that's the truth. If you need him, he won't leave you. But if he needs you, you think, oh, if he needs me, then he loves me. What he needs, it's a little funny with words here, but what he needs is to feel you need him and he's successful at providing what you need. Then you'll never lose him. Okay? But then what happens is women get into this place of, well, does he need me? Does he not need me? If he doesn't need me, he'll leave me. Well, on one level, that's true. He does need something, but what he needs is for you to feel you need him. And why does he need that? Because you can't love him unless you need him. You can love him like a child, but that's not what he wants.
Right.
You can be his mother. That's not what you want. That's not what he wants. For him to feel like a man and have physical intimacy and adult love, he needs to feel he is providing something of value and meaningfulness to you. And so you have to feel, I need it. You have to feel like we all need food. A simple example of this is our need for food. If you go for 2 days without food, no matter what you eat, it's going to taste good.
Right.
I love this. I love this. I love this. Doesn't have to be some great dessert or whatever. It's a bagel with cream cheese and you go, oh, delicious. Okay. So this is feeling your need for something allows you to feel appreciation and love. Without feeling the need, you can't feel this kind of love, which is the kind of love that men need, which is to appreciate what he offers, to accept who he is, even though he's not perfect, and the trust he's doing his best, and the trust that his intent is to be there for you, even though he can't always be there for you. Those are key things. And you know what women will tend to do is he's in one bad mood or he doesn't do one thing right or whatever, and she goes, oh, I can't trust him. That's called all or nothing. No, you can't trust him to be perfect all the time. These are like words we need to remind ourselves. Okay, yeah, I can't trust him to be perfect all the time, but I can trust him. And look at all the wonderful things I've got from him and I can get from him and I will get from him. That's being optimistic. That's using a part of your brain. But if you're in fight or flight, meaning your body's making adrenaline or cortisol, your body goes into this brain bias of focusing on negativity. And you can't get out of it until you get your stress levels down. And you can't get your stress levels down if you're a woman until you until you do things without depending on a man. Okay, this is the key. You have to do things not depending on the man to raise your estrogen levels so that then you can depend on a man and have a big reaction. Because you're not going to get a big reaction. He's not going to do something. The big reaction is actually feeling a lot of appreciation. You know, they found that when women's estrogen levels are low, that if you give a flower, it doesn't do anything. If your estrogen levels are high, you can give her 50 flowers, it will go higher. You give her one rose, it will go higher. Same effect if your estrogen level's at a healthy level. And I know many women listening, their estrogen levels are just low and it's part of getting older. But no, it's normal for them to go lower than when you were younger. But the problem is balance. You still can make enough estrogen, even if it's not as high as it used to be, because you're not making eggs, okay? You're not dropping eggs, so your body doesn't need to make a baby, so it doesn't need such high estrogen levels. It still can have plenty of estrogen to fall in love if she's in balance with estrogen and progesterone and not too much testosterone. Testosterone lowers her estrogen, and it's more crucial as she gets older to make sure she's developed the skills of depending on others to get what she needs instead of being jaded where I can't trust others, I have to do it myself. And maybe in certain areas you do have to do it yourself. That's okay as long as you're anticipating other areas of your life like gardening, like your children, like singing, being in groups, going shopping, you know, where you're depending on other cooking, other things that can make you happy. This is your hobbies, the things you need to do in order to be happy. So you're depending on that. And of course, your doctor visits, that's always a good, your therapist or coach. These are all people you depend upon. Take classes where you're depending on a teacher. Go to a yoga class or aerobics class where you have somebody leading you. Go to dance classes. You know, you can get partners in a dance class and they'll lead you around. And, you know, I was doing a dance class in some hippie town recently, a friend of mine, kind of hippie person, and and they were practicing the woman leading the man leading the woman, and the woman, and the women wanted to lead the men. I said, "This is so crazy. We're dancing in order to stimulate the ideal hormones. The ideal hormones for women is depending on a man or a partner to lead you. That's the point of it, not to be leading a man. You start feeling like a mother." And that's what will happen in an intimate relationship if you go too much into the leading part. But you train, in a sense, you're not leading him when you say, "Here's 3 things I'd like to do, you pick." See, you're saying you pick. You decide. You decide. Whenever you get a guy to decide, good. And little tricks as well as, should I wear, if you're married, should I wear white or black? And I remember my wife, she uses, I say, "Oh, wear the black." She goes, "Oh, I think I'm going to wear white." Why do you ask? This is the point of men. And I know why she asks. It takes, it's nice to be able to get points of view and your mind becomes clearer. But as a way to build intimacy, if he says wear white, you ask, it means both are possibilities. Wear what he says. The whole evening, he'll feel like he's your designer. He'll take credit for you. He'll, "Oh, I did that outfit." He'll feel good. He'll feel more connected. Anytime a man has to take responsibility for you, he feels more connected to you. Anytime you are responsible for him, he will lose connection for you or have less connection with you.
I think this is so profound, John, what you're saying here. I think it's so powerful and so important, especially for those of us, myself included. For many years, I was single. I've now been married for 13 years, but I felt like I had to do everything by myself. And transitioning into marriage was a big adjustment for me. I've learned a lot of things over the last 13 plus years, but learning how to let my husband win, kind of setting him up to win, has been one of the most profound things that I've had the privilege of learning in our marriage. I can remember once early on, I had asked him to do something, and then I was like looking over his shoulder, coming back to this control thing. I was looking over his shoulder and giving him a few tips on how I thought he should be doing it better. And he turned to me, you'll laugh at this, he turned to me and he said, "You can either tell me what to do or how to do it, but not both."
That's very cute. That's very cute.
So over the years, I've learned more how to set him up to win. I kind of think of it like a basketball analogy where maybe I'm like the guard dribbling the ball down the court, but I'm going to pass it off to him because he's closer into the basket and he gets to make that basket. But because we're on the same team, we both win. He wins. He gets the credit for the basket because he put the basket in.
And but I win. The team. See, that's the beautiful thing about women. They have the awareness, the inclusiveness to feel that. If I do something, it's a feather in my hat. If I do something for my wife, she will say to her friends, "It's a feather in her hat. Yes, my husband did that for me." You see, it's like we get the feather in our hat is different. And always we did that is a thing that increases estrogen in women and in men, as opposed to I did that. And I did that as a testosterone producer. And I understand, there's a place for women to be in their testosterone world. I'm not against that at all. It's just, it gets too much. It's finding that balance. And to find that balance, it doesn't feel real or authentic. It doesn't feel like me. Once you're over on your testosterone world, it feels unnatural to go back to your female side. You're going against the momentum. See, there's a momentum when you're on that male side, and to turn it around is like turning around a big ship. It doesn't just flip back. It takes practice, it takes intention, and it takes feeling awkward. It feels uncomfortable sometimes. This doesn't feel like me. That's why lots of women, when they hear me talk about men are from Mars, women are from Venus, they say, "Well, I feel like I'm from Mars and I'm not that woman you talk about." I say, "Yeah, she's inside of you. You just haven't found her. And to find her, it's not going to feel like you until you get there. And once you get there, you go, oh, this feels like home. But it will take a while. But, if you've never had permission to be there, that's a big deal. Our society today, if your mother did not have permission to be there, you won't have permission to be there as a little girl. And, huge, so many problems in the world today, but one of them is well, it's not about our topic, but I'll just toss it in. I wrote a whole book called Boy Crisis. These boys are growing up into men, and they're just not going to be good partners. Boys are twice as many women today are graduating from college than men. Just look at that.
Yeah.
And all this stuff about how women get underpaid. Actually, women under 35, okay, they're a different genre. They went to college, they have college degrees. Women under 35 compared to men under 35, women make 20% more than men for the same job.
Well,
because I know it. I have all these women working for me. Women are harder workers. They don't have all of the problems that men have when it comes to work. You see, if a man fails at work, he has failed. His male side, his testosterone goes down. If a woman fails at work, her testosterone goes down, then she needs more help. Her estrogen goes up. It actually doesn't have the same disastrous effect on him as it has on a woman. So women are more eager. I can try this. I can try this. I can do this. Whereas a man, if he has performance of a job is always measured, you're accountable. So you're being measured. Are you good enough to do the job? Now, of course, that's a pressure for women too, of course. But for men, it stops them in their tracks because they need testosterone. So if they anticipate failure, I'm not good enough, their testosterone goes down. If a woman's not good enough and her testosterone goes down, it still hasn't damaged the estrogen part of her. It actually strengthens that by saying, I guess I need help. So women are much more eager and willing to receive help, whereas men want to do it themselves. That's got off the subject a little bit, but might be helpful to someone.
No, I think it's very, very helpful. And I think it's really, really important. And the awareness you're creating around this boy crisis, I think is really, really important for, for future generations, the generations that are coming up. And I think, it's really, really, I think there's a lot of confusion out there, even among older people or more mature people in terms of some of the gender roles and what women really want and expect from women. I mean, what women really want and expect from men.
Yeah.
In speaking with men over the last few years, as I've interviewed a fair amount of men, I know there's some genuine confusion amongst some men about what women really want and expect from them. And so I think this, it's a broader crisis. Certainly there's a boy crisis that you speak to in your book, but it's a broader crisis in the world.
It's big time.